Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another full view episode. We're nearly full. We're going to be full very shortly, but Marcel needs to make sure his belly is full. That's
Very
why
nice.
we can't see him yet. He's not here. We don't know where he is. He's eating at the moment. We're just about to go live. We said my food's just got here, so I'm just going to take care of that. So, all right, Marcel will be here very shortly. We can see him down there waiting in the wings. You can't, but we can. We'll see him in a sec. Shout out Owen, shout out Firm, shout out man like Tomo, and shout out to Brads as well. We've got a lot to talk about today. And actually, you know what? This is probably the first full view, maybe in a little minute, where like you could say, you know what? A little bit of I don't know, positivity, a little bit of I don't know, just a little, you know what I mean? Just not too positive, not losing ourselves, because you know the next games will show us about ourselves. But it's the first time people have been a little bit, oh, you know what? They're starting to understand what Ruben wants a little bit. But that's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. Of course, there's been a lot of news today. There's talks of a lot of rumors about Rasmus Hojlund leaving. My colleague on the Inside Devil show, Alex Crook, shout out Crookie. He's been quoted on all the aggregators saying he expects them to leave. I was on that show yesterday, and it just went out of my head. We're going to get there. We'll talk about that. There's also a little bit on Aiden Heaven. Laurie Whitwell's just spoken, he said some stuff in the last few minutes as well. And there's stuff about Xavi Simons as well. So there's a lot to get into. Plus, whatever anyone wants to bring to the table, it's the full view. There's no rules. You get to say and do and talk about as you lot please, with a little bit of news sprinkled in. So let's kick things off, man. Owen, what did Crookie say?
Well, this was interesting.
Show that I was on that I remember from yesterday.
This was interesting. So on social media today, kind of catching things on fire was this thing. It just says TalkSport. You know, TalkSport said that Rasmus Hojlund is expected to leave Manchester United in the summer. Now, a peek behind the curtain, folks, with this one, because as we're prepping the show, I send this to Flex and I go, oh, that's good to talk about later on. And Flex goes to me, I was there. I was at that one. That was just sort of Crookie just going in his opinion, not really like a report or anything like that. Not really a thing. Just like, in his opinion, he thinks that Hojlund he might go in the summer. But I suppose it opens up the wider conversation about Rasmus Hojlund as to whether he's good enough. There is this feeling about if we do get a striker in the summer, either Xerxes or Hojlund, one of them might end up going. And at the moment, Joshua Xerxes playing very well and it feels like the tide's turned on him. So does that mean that Rasmus Hojlund should go in the summer? I suppose is the bigger question. Not if he's expected to, but should he go? It's up to the panel. Flex is muted as well. You know what I mean? It's the best you ever sounded, Flex. I mean, it's terrific.
Apologies. My Zoom etiquette was there. Should we give up on him yet? Should you stay with him? He's still young, etc., etc., etc. Tamo, you're shaking your head. Talk to us.
Look, we're too fickle, man. We should remember last year when he came on, right? Just so he was scoring in the Champions League, even when no one was scoring, he was that one. There are a couple of things that we have to take into consideration, right? If our noisy neighbor's other version of Hojlund was in our team, he would struggle to score. We don't create a lot of chances for our forwards. Secondly, I think how we were utilizing him, and I think Amarin is understanding him a little better, is that we're asking him to do something that is not a skill set of his. Maybe we're a little bit fooled by his frame that he should hold up the ball better. That's not his skill set. If you look on the goal that he scored, right, and we must look on things in practicality. It was a well executed forward goal, meaning in terms of he uses his not so favored foot, right foot, and it's not the first that we see him do that. He's a forward that is good with both legs. And secondly, his goals that he generally scores is like that. He runs in behind the defenders. He's not somebody who holds up play. He doesn't do so well with playing with his back to goal. But in terms of on the turn, in terms of playing the channel, that's his thing. And I think the more, in fairness to Amarim, gets to understand his players a little better, you will see the best coming out of them. So I don't want us saying that, you know, we should put him out the team, or I don't even know how we arrived at this conversation when everybody except Bruno is really playing poorly in the team. It's just that he has the unenviable task of scoring the goals. But I don't think that's a fair assumption to make. He shouldn't even have that burden as such a young person. He should be coming in as a protege to someone else. But as I'm saying, how we were utilizing him or how Amarin was utilizing him is not necessarily his best in playing back to goal. It's something he could improve on his game, but that's not his strongest point. That's just my 2 cents.
That's Remy saying fair points here. Firms, what are you saying on Rasmus? Do you agree with Tamo there? Do you think there's too much pressure on him and the team's been playing badly and don't give up yet? Or do you think, nah, mate, someone comes in with a decent offer, I'm selling that guy and I'm getting something better instantly?
See, the issue is, there is a lot of pressure on him, but the issue is he costs what? Total package, 70 odd million. It's a lot. We're expecting, he's a guy that's playing a lot of games. He's leading our line. I think he's just in the firing line too much because of circumstances. He's the guy that's leading our line, and for that reason, he's getting a lot of stick, a lot of pressure. For me, if we're going to keep Rasmus Hojlund, it's a tricky one because he costs so much. For a guy like that to be second fiddle, it's not really making sense to me. If we're talking about someone that I agree, his finishing is better than, for example, Xerxes. I would say that he's a more natural, more clinical finisher than Xerxes. Xerxes is more of a provider. And if you're talking about that, then obviously Rasmus Hojlund takes it. But the issues that I have with Rasmus Hojlund, and it's not necessarily all his fault, is the fact that the matter is I just want to see someone be able to impact the game. On the recent, you see someone impact the game, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily need to be scoring goals to do so. But
like he did against Sociedad in the second leg.
Like he did against Sociedad. Do you understand? Like, be a nuisance, trouble the defenders. We're not asking you to be a finished article. Do you understand? Like, we just want you. Like, I remember when we had the likes of Welbeck at Manchester United. He will always be a thorn to the opposition side. He doesn't need to be, and that's the thing with Rasmus. It feels like he's a man down. It's like with Haaland at City. They can afford to have a man down. We can't afford to have a man down. So that's my issues with Rasmus Hojlund, and I know he can do it. I know he can do it because he's shown it against Royal Sociedad. So in my mind, I'm thinking, is it the pace of the Premier League and the physicality of it, which is just too much for Rasmus Hojlund at this minute, even though he looks he's built like the part? Because in Spain, against Spanish opposition in Europe, he's doing his thing. So I just question. Yeah, but for me, if it was anything out of if I'm going to keep one, I'm going to keep Xerxes because if that's the question, because we're talking about bringing in a striker.
It wasn't really one or the other, to be fair. That weren't really the question. This is just really on Rasmus of like what you think on him. It's not really exclusive to you have to keep one or the other. It's just off the basis of, Cookie was saying he expects him to leave, etc., etc. It's just more about what we think about Rasmus, really.
Yeah.
So
go on.
No, so my brother, just to answer something quickly. So 2 things. When we start off with price tags, I want to point out to this. Seldomly, it's ever because of the player why they sell for what they sell for. But if you're making the argument on his price tag first thing, I think it's a wrong point, because are we going to get 72 million for him now? The answer is no.
It's not.
No. I fear, but the point, because you started off with that, I wanted to just address it. We're not going to get $72 million for him, right? So then, let's say we sell him for 30 million, and then we have to play for caliber forward that we're looking for another 72 million. And just to be clear, I agree with a lot of things that you said. The only thing, my point is that in a team where everybody is playing bad, let us just be honest on that, right? He's singled out because he's the forward expected to score the goal. Now, I've seen him miss a few goals, but the same thing for Xerxes and other players in the team. But how many chances are we really creating for him? It's not a lot. He's a pure forward. And as I said to you, if we produce the kind of things where over the last 2 games, I think we have created far more chances and we have seen come to light a little more. I'm simply saying that initially, if any of you guys can say, well, Tamo, that's not true. But tell me, we were using him predominantly as a Lukaku kind of forward to hold up the ball. That's not a strong skill set that he has. No, that's something that he should possibly work on. Yes, but his skill set, his strong skill set is, and I dare say, a little bit of Ruud van Nistelrooy in that he's not going to stand up and try to post up against a defender. He's going to run in behind and he's going to play those channels. And when he knows the confidence that the ball will come, he's literally the kind of forward where we wanted Marshall to be. He will put his body on the line in the 6-yard box to get to something. The problem is that enough of that wasn't coming. And then Xerxes offers another skill set, and I think it's a good balance. But we haven't given that partnership or that kind of thing to happen yet. And I think if Amaron gets the time, he will better understand how to utilize them. That's it. That's all I'm saying. So, but if we can get better than him, by all means, fine. But it makes no sense we go and splash cash that we don't have to only say we shouldn't have let him go. That's all.
I still feel like he needs to be. I still feel like he needs to be doing more. Like that Cheeto argument came up. You know when he had his little cameo, had his debut.
It's Fulham.
I still feel like Cheeto puts himself about. He just puts himself. And maybe you're saying we're not playing to Rasmus Hojlund's strengths, but then that also raises the question: then is that the right man for us? Because how much of the players are we going to need to change to be able to play to his strengths? Versus just making a straight swap.
Who was our leading goal scorer last year? Who was our leading goal scorer in Europe last year?
Yeah, it was him.
He was at Rasmus.
Right. Yeah. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was in the top 2 or 3.
He got
16. I think he got 16, 17 goals last year in all competitions.
Exactly my point. So here's what, sometimes we are a little fickle as fans. So I get what you're saying, my brother. But what I want you to do is to put it in the context of the reality. So in essence, in a team that we can argue was poor last year, can we agree on that?
Yeah. And he's even worse this year.
He still scored that amount of goals, right? And I'm saying in this season, right, there's multiple transition. The team is actually performing worse than last year. I think you're looking at him in isolation. I'm actually agreeing with you that he's playing poorly. I am agreeing with you. That's not denying it. But who isn't? What we are looking at is if there's a player there that can deliver. And the point of me asking you about last year is that we know that he can do it. This guy is one of the only players in our team that with both feet, he can finish. I'm telling you guys, just look back at it. Look at him playing. We need to better how to get him in position to score.
Let's I dare not now. I'm gonna go to Bradley on this. Now this could go one of two ways. Now either Bradley can say, I didn't want him in the first place. I think he's a fraud. 70 told me Bradley could go down that position. Or Brad could say, listen, he's young, Tomo's got a point, etc., etc. Bradley, the floor is yours. When you think about Rasmus Hojlund, what do you think? What do you think? What do you see?
There we go.
I don't think he's good enough for now. I think most people would agree with that. And also, I agree with the point that there is a lot of pressure on him and there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders because of the club that he's at and he's been asked to play in the first team. So I would agree with that. But I do think he lacks some basic footballing fundamentals. And my thing is we definitely need to bring in a centre forward this summer. So my thing is if we've got the money to keep Hojlund, keep Xerxes, and then bring in a striker and let them be the understudy to them, then I would be all for that. But if we have to sell one of them to be able to afford a striker for the now, which we definitely need, then I would sell Rasmus Hojlund.
Why him? Why would you sell? If he had to be the fall guy, essentially, why would you choose him?
I like Xerxes' profile in terms of he holds the ball up well, he links up well, and if we're looking at the strikers that we are being linked with in terms of Victor Osimhen and Victor Gyökeres, profile-wise, they're pretty similar to Rasmus Hojlund, and they're better than him. So, in terms of, and even Mateta, so even the players that we're being linked with, profile-wise, are similar to Rasmus. So, for me, in terms of the balance in the squad, you may as well have two different profile strikers. So that's why I'd keep Xerxes over Rasmus Hojlund.
Okay, I hear that. I hear what you're saying there. Marcel, you missed the first bit. You probably heard it there while he was eating. I don't know. But we're obviously discussing Rasmus because Crookie expects him to leave. So it just brought up the conversation of should we be looking to cash in? Could we cash in? And what are the points around Rasmus discuss, bro. What are you saying?
I kind of agree with what everyone's saying. I just think maybe we've got to give him a bit more time to see what plays out with him. You know, it's been a couple bad seasons overall for the club, but you know, it depends what situation we're at in terms of the priorities of who we need to sell and get out of the club. You know, we need to be able to amass a certain amount of money, and then depending on how much money we have, we can decide whether we need to either sell this striker to then get another striker that's similar to his profile but better quality. Because I think Xerxes can even play 10. I think he's quite a unique profile. You know, he can play the 9, he can play the 10. I think he's better suited as a 10, really, to me. So you maybe want to keep him. It's about now, Rasmus, can you upgrade on him? Can we afford it? That's a big question for this summer windows. Can we even afford most of the transfers? We might even get like 3 or 4 players at max. So with that in mind, do you sell him? You know, are other players in the priority ahead of him to sell that you can actually recoup a better set of money for and free up the squad? But I like what I imagine in my mind he can be. It's just that he's not been able to translate that. And maybe because he's a young forward. You know, people mentioned to me about Harry Kane when he's younger. Even, you know, Ruben striker, I'm going to butcher his name, Gyökeres or Gorkarez, whatever his name is. Gyökeres. You know, even him, you know, when they're younger, they weren't at their prolific best, you know. So, and plus Ten Hag told us that we were purchasing potential. He told us from the outset, you know, he was telling us at the very beginning about certain players that we would and the direction that we was going to, you know, we were purchasing potential and we can kind of see the potential in him. It's just about a top class manager in Ruben trying to cultivate that over time. And I think he likes what Hojlund gives. He's Mr. Runaround. I call him Mr. Runaround because you know he's going to run around the place and be busy. It's just that intelligence, that exuberance of youth, not knowing when to stand still on the football pitch. You know, someone like Lionel Messi just knows when to stand still on the pitch and attract the ball to him and his spaces. So there's that element of the game that he obviously needs to master and understand and respect. And then his teammates
to Messi level. To Messi level.
I think he just used him as an example.
Let's say Muller, Owen. You know, someone again that's very intelligent in that kind of in that side of the game. You know, someone that's able to hold his space and wait until the shapes of the pitch change and he's in between the lines all of a sudden, or he's, you know, behind a defender all of a sudden. It's that intelligence of the game as you get older and you mature. So, you know,
one, Marcel, with that, yeah. You mentioned like Muller or whatever.
So,
who would you rather have in this Man United team at the moment? Would you rather have Rasmus Hojlund or would you rather have Danny Welbeck?
It's a really good point because both of them, I think, are industrious players. But Welbeck knows what it feels like to play as a Man United player under the pressure, the history of the club. I wouldn't mind taking a Danny Welbeck right now, you know. And we're talking about a here and now striker, also a Mateta and these kind of things. It's similar to what Bradley's saying, you know, we need someone for the now. We really are desperate for that. And you know, Danny Welbeck could be someone that I would take. So, yeah.
No, so gents. So first thing, I have a slight problem with that. And it seems like I'm defending Hojlund, which is not even that, but I'm more on the fair side. So first thing, you remember what I told you outside Old Trafford in terms of Xerxes when they were getting all that beaten flex? You remember I said stick. As a matter of fact, that was the tag. Yeah, stick with Xerxes. And you see, that was when the whole fan base was saying, oh, Xerxes is just not good enough for Man United. Here's how we see things, the here and now. Funny you mentioned Welbeck, and I'm happy you mentioned Welbeck, because Welbeck is going through the same thing. We had the same issues with Welbeck as we did with Hojlund now. Hence, he's not at Old Trafford. And the only point I'm bringing up why I said that to you is this. This is what I want to remember. The guy produced last year in a horrible team, and he was injured for a good portion last year. He was out. He produced. He's having a bad season this time around. With the team having a bad season, there's games he's out there, nothing is being created. I am seeing him running the channels, and the ball is not coming to him. I agree with everything that Ollie is saying. If we can sell him and guarantee that we get better, then let us do that. I think the conversation about changing him is a bit impulsive on the no. And this is not his fault, because it's not as though we're creating chances and he's the one not producing. He has still produced more goals than Xerxes. Now, all I'm simply saying to you, and we're saying we should keep Xerxes, and I'm not even against it. either argument. The only point I'm trying to make here is that I go back again. If our noisy neighbor were to take Hojlund and put in this team, he would, I dare say, he would not produce 15 goals. He's in the true sense of a Scandinavian forward. He's going to run those channels. The ball comes through. He's going to score. The guy is good on both feet. Be careful of what we wish for. I hear people talking about Mateta. Let me put this on record. We are hell no. Sometimes in a horrible team, the average player stand out because it's Crystal Palace we're talking about. We should not be looking to Mateta. I would keep Hojlund all day, every day over Mateta.
I think
100%.
You raised some good points. Slim says these shows are needed, very measured and very good points. And that's what we're here to do, innit? Talk about the things properly, because of course, when we get all emotional at the games and in the match, I've been there, we all shout and so, listen, it's not a good time to talk about these things. I'm facing charges on these things already. Yeah. So that's I get that. But it is true. I think with Rasmus Hojlund, there's so many facets to him. I do agree with like the not recency bias, but the impulsive nature of in the here and the now. And I'm part of this. I'm part of this because it's gone from bad to worse for the team. Rasmus Hojlund's confidence, like he's not as bad. I don't believe he's as bad as we've seen him be at points this season. When we've all played the game to a certain level, or even if it's like just with your friends down the park, or whether you've played some people, it doesn't matter. If you play football, you all have experienced that feeling, yeah, when nothing's going for you, when your confidence is gone. So even the very basics of the game, of controlling the ball, having a feel for the game, knowing when to shoot, knowing what runs to make, like Marcel says, knowing when to freeze the game, don't run. These types of things, you start to second, third, and fourth guess every single movement you make. And sometimes when the ball's on its way to you, you're going, shit, control it, find a red set. You just overthink everything. So his confidence has completely gone. And I think he's probably experienced this for the first time in his career at this level, right? So that's one thing. The conversation around Rasmus this time last year was not this. The conversation around this time last year was Rasmus was, you know what? The kid's got a bit. He's got a bit. It's because the level of improvement, it seems like he's stagnated and actually regressed from last year is why we're super concerned. So there is that. I do see that argument of if the team gets better and Ruben starts to understand the players more, which he's telling us he's doing. The gaffer told us that. He said, even down to Casemiro, the man said, I'm learning more. Casemiro can't do that space over there, this, that, and the other. I'm learning more. Bruno can come back here and play in the six for me. I'm learning more. I tell you what, Rasmus, he said Garnacho showed him. He said it. He said Garnacho showed me things on the right that I didn't see on the left. Maybe better. Ever since then, Garnacho's on the right 10. These are things that he's learning as he's going. Then all of a sudden, we see that Sociedad game. And it was like, okay, well, he's making runs in behind. We're finding him. Like Firm said, he's holding it up a little bit. There was a little chest. He set someone. Then he set Xerxes. He had a shot. It got saved. And he started to go, okay. And like Firm said as well, like some of the goals he has scored, and you were saying as well, Tamon, some of the goals he scored last year, they're like, we were saying, I remember the shows. I remember the reaction. It was like, he scores a nice variation of goals. I remember the goal against West Ham. Took it on the left foot, onto his right, bang across goal. I went, oh, interesting. He come off the bench against Newcastle, bang, same type of goal. Come off the bench against Brighton, shifted it to the right foot, bang. The one against, was it Bodo Glimt this year, when Mazraoui crossed it, took one touch on the left foot, then onto the right foot. And I went, right, how did he score that? So that shows us
Spurs last year, no back.
Spurs last year, Rashford was running into traffic. The ball broke to him. He just rasped it in the top corner. You go, he's got something. There is something there. So I agree. But the problem is that he's been put into a position, like Bradley said, which is why I agree. He shouldn't be our starting striker. He shouldn't be the number one guy. He shouldn't be the guy that we look to get the 20 to 25 with no support in a team that's doing bad. So, but then he costs so much. If somebody offers you an out and says, Juventus want him for 38 million, you're probably going to go, yeah, I'll try and look for somewhere else. But you're right, Tabo. If you can't get someone better or of equal, like if you're going to go and get another youngster who's also inexperienced and can't, then it's the same thing. You may as well try and develop him, you're not really going to recoup the money. You're going to get way less than half than what you paid for him anyway. And the Mateta one is interesting, Brad, you say that, because it's weird, because as well as we're calling Rasmus Hojlund streaky, if we're being honest, like Mateta was Beto 18 months ago. Now,
just started, didn't he? Yes, yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and it shows you about like how the complexion changes and the narrative changes around players.
Do you know why I
said Mateta was stinking out the place? Now, you see when Mateta was stinking out the place at Palace, everyone was going with Roy Hodgson. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Look at this clown. He can't do anything.
Glasner's turned him around.
Glasner comes in and knows how to work with him. And all of a sudden, you're getting the best out of him. Look at Beto. I saw Beto hiding his face at thing, crying. Couldn't hit a barn door. Hit a barn door under Sean Dyche. All of a sudden, David Moyes comes in, plays it a certain way, gets the confidence. The team starts ticking. And now we go, Beto's doing LeBron on us. Doing LeBron. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be careful about the streaks because we have a streaky player. We've seen him not score for 14 games last year in the Prem. Then he scored in a condensed period. Then he got injured. Then he wasn't good. But then he always scored in Europe. I was just looking at his record now, just so we got the facts. Europa League, he's played 10 games, scored 5 goals, 2 assists. Champions League, played 6, scored 5. So in Europe, that's all right. Last year in the Prem, he scored 10 goals, played 30 times, scored 10, and those came in a very condensed period. This year, 24 goals and 3 games. 24 games, 3 goals in the Prem. Very
Premier League football is different to European football.
100%.
100%.
Absolutely.
Do you know why I said Mateta? Do you know this summer, I would not be against buying all players from the Premier League, like clubs around us, because we need to become a consistent team. Forget about trying to win the league. Just try and get back in the top 6 or top 4. And I think the way how we do that is becoming a consistent team. And I think if we buy players that are Premier League proven and you know what you're going to get, it might not be to a really high level, but it's to a decent level, and you build a core there, then it's a foundation to build on to be able to improve later on down the line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Let me get the super chats out here quickly. Super Art says, Rasmus is only at 85k a week. Wages not a problem. Yeah, we bought him for big money, but the wages are actually where we want them to be, really, if we're being honest. Shout out Slim, he's become the latest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to you, Slim. And Jason says, Hojlund isn't good enough. We have seen nearly 2 full seasons now. That's more than enough to see if a player is good enough for Manchester United. Get rid. But the context is that a lot's changed since he's been there, whole manager of a whole new system. I think that's got to be taken into account.
And he's young as well.
So let me ask you a question. Seriously to you guys then. So who are we replacing him with? Because we're saying Gary. Who?
Well, if you say Osman,
isn't it?
Osman's not bad.
Swap.
So fine if we can get those players. And remember Thomas' point. There's 2 contexts we're seeing here because I want to address all of them. One, we said if he's a player, we talked about his price tag. That's not his fault. But if we're intending to recoup the money, then fine. If we can get something and then we're going to guarantee to get something better, I am with all of you guys. I'm on that because that makes sense. But then the first set of names I hear, Osimhen, it's going to cost us a hefty sum. Great. I think he could score, but he hasn't played. We said Premier League proven. He hasn't played in the Premier League. He has only played in Champions League and Italy. And Italy to England is a hit and miss sometimes, as we have seen so far. Right? Now, the next best, then let's talk about the others, because I'm open to anybody better than Rasmus. I didn't say he was the answer. I said, what are we going to do as opposed to not him?
The thing is, we brought in Rasmus knowing that he's not a high goal scorer. We brought in Xerxes knowing he's not a high goal scorer.
Crazy.
When we brought in the likes of the old veterans like even Ronaldo, he's a goal scorer, and it showed. He's a goal scorer. You bring in Ibrahimovic, he's a goal scorer. He's going to score goals. The problem is we tried to do the scouting thing, brought in these guys that weren't quite ready, and now they're leading our line, and it's showing it, and the results is showing it. And the fact of the matter is my thing about the goals is it's important, obviously, but it's secondary. I feel like when he played against Real Sociedad, you can see that something was coming. You need to be present. We need to be able to see you. A lot of the times I'm seeing Man United play and I'm like, where's Rasmus? He's got a lot of energy and people say he's running around, but he's not using it in the right way to like trouble them.
But wasn't the whole team better? Wasn't the whole team better against Sociedad?
The whole team was better against Sociedad, but don't get me wrong, we can still have players individually that's not up to par, up to their standard. I just feel like Rasmus Hojlund, I just feel like even if you're not scoring, let me see you. Like with Garnacho, people have something to talk about because he's at least getting himself in positions where he can miss. Rasmus Hojlund is just point blank.
Although we could say, though, with a goal-scoring record, though, you have to be careful with that. Because obviously, look, numbers do matter, especially with a striker. But then there are also examples of other strikers when they don't have the best record, and then they do come to the Premier League, and it just works. You do look at like an Alexander Isak or whatever. Realistically, he had like a good season at Real Sociedad, where he got 17 goals in the league. Prior to that, he was one of those names that had been around for a little bit across Europe, and people are like, "Oh yeah, keep an eye on him." Goes to the Premier League in the first season, score loads of goals, gets like 10, so kind of, again, wasn't amazing. But then the last 2 seasons, now they're going, he's going to leave Newcastle at the end of the season, he's going to go to Liverpool. So I think that's also the part that Man United always have to balance it up, isn't it? Of sometimes you can't, especially with the position we're in now, we can't go for the amazing numbers across Europe because, like Tam was kind of saying, and others, one, we can't afford it. And secondly, we just won't be able to beat the competition. Like this summer, there are so many teams in for big strikers across Europe. In the Premier League alone, there could be 3 or 4 clubs going for big strikers. We know we obviously need one. We know Arsenal definitely are going to go for a striker. Chelsea are going to probably go for another one as well in the summer. They always do. That's already their 3. If Newcastle do lose Alexander Isak, they're going to want to replace him. And who knows where they might be next season. With other, I think they'll be in Europe at least after winning the Carabao. Liverpool are going to probably go for Isak. So they're going to be in the strikers market. So even just there in the Premier League, you're going, right, that's 5 of like, some of the top clubs going for strikers. And Man United maybe can compete financially, but we don't want to go too far with fees and wages. So maybe that's why we are looking at like a Liam Delap from Ipswich, because we're going, we've got to find the next. We've got to find the next. We tried to find the next with Rasmus, and the biggest sin with Rasmus isn't his wage, it's how much we paid for him. Because if he was half the amount we actually paid, and we thought we were going to pay in the first place, like 40, we'd still be going, maybe output, blah, blah, blah. But I think we'd be more willing,
exactly.
We'd be more willing to like give him time because it's not too bad, it's not too much. It's the fee, which isn't his fault.
True.
And he wasn't starting at Atalanta.
Go on, Bradley.
Sorry, go on, Bradley.
Yeah.
He wasn't a starter at Atalanta. I think when you mentioned Isak at Real Sociedad, when Newcastle bought him, he was a starting player. I don't understand why we would go for a bench player at Atalanta unless we've seen something long-term wise.
Oh, the season we bought him, the season we bought Rasmus, he played 32 games. 32 games, scored 9 goals.
Did he start them? How
many of them were starts?
Remember,
they're not good.
Bradley,
potential, guys. That was the rhetoric. He said we were purchasing potential this season. So
and Bradley
was gonna become a top player straight away.
Started 20.
Yeah, good. Fair point. Yeah, and that's a good amount to start for his age, actually. So fair point. Let's put it this way. I'll put it to you this way, Bradley. Is the team, and keep in mind, Man United is having one of its worst seasons in the Premier League era. We're in 13th place. I am simply saying, if we're having this conversation, maybe we should have the show titled "In or Out" for all of these players. Because all I'm simply saying to you guys is that we can't discuss Hojlund in isolation of the supporting cast that is causing this form. How many times we see Garnacho on the left side could simply just slip it in, and you see Hojlund throw his hands in the air because all he needed to do was pass it across the goal.
100%, yeah.
And I'm saying we're not creating unless you guys can tell me the amount of big chances he's the worst in the Premier League. I'm saying he wasn't getting that much chances anyway, right?
Yeah, his conversion rate at one point was what was actually pretty good because he's a streaky player, so he wasn't. Yeah, I don't see Rasmus as someone who misses all the time.
And here's my point. Here's what I'm going to say to you. You know, one of the things I like about him, which I absolutely love with Greenwood, he's one of those players who hardly skies the ball. He generally gets it on target, whichever feet. I'm saying he just doesn't get up in the games. I remember a lot of the games. Hojlund is not even getting 5 shots on goal, and he's a forward. So I'm not defending his record. It is poor, but it is poor in a poor team, which simply means that are we really being fair to him? If we're having the conversation, we have to have it holistically. Is the supporting cast?
Oh, definitely, the team is definitely poor.
Yeah, because the wingers and the persons who are supposed to be producing for him, we literally had Rashford and we had Garnacho. Even now, that just don't square the ball.
Definitely,
And we're talking about the forward. So where does he score from? Ten Hag got him because we complained that Martial, Rashford wouldn't put their body on the line and wouldn't be a 6-yard player to go and score the scrappy goals. This guy's willing to score the scrappy goals.
So what's
he
changed?
Scores this.
What's changed? Last season, we had the same guys that would like to cut in and shoot your Rashford, your Garnachos. What's changed from last season?
The easy answer is not getting the chances, my brother. Unless you guys are watching different games than I am watching. Where are the chances for him to score those goals? Let's just be fair. Forget just the fact that whatever. Again, remember Thomas says, if we can get a better forward, let's take him. And even for the persons in the chat, I'm not saying he should stay just because. I'm saying if we can do better, let's take the upgrade. But as far as the conversation has gone, nobody has presented a better option that we can afford. And I'm not with Mateta.
Cameron, why are you so against Mateta? That's Hojlund's biggest weakness is back towards goal. His biggest weakness is retaining the football. I think Mateta.
All right, so my thing with Mateta, right? And two things in being fair to Mateta. I haven't seen him enough. But secondly, Mateta hasn't been consistently producing all the time, right? He's in a team. How many goals have Mateta gone for the season so far?
Probably in double
Anybody has
this season?
He's probably in double figures, yeah.
He must be in double figures. At least maybe 12, 10, 12, 13.
12 goals.
12
12
goals.
goals. Yeah.
And they're ahead of us in the table, right?
Well, 15 in all comps, by the way. 15 in all comps.
And without looking at the stats, I'm going to bet you guys any money that more big chances has been created for him than it has been for Hojlund, because they're ahead of us in the table also. And I'm willing to bet. I'm not looking at a stat, but somebody in the chat, anyone of you can look, and it will prove the point I'm saying to you, my brother. He's getting chances to score.
So big chances created is a two-way street, though, Tamo. It's a responsibility of the striker to dominate that area of the pitch, to earn that position in the pitch, to create the build-up phase, getting himself into the second phase of the pitch, holding it for his team, and then executing a pass in the third area of the pitch, and waiting. It's like it's a two-way, it's a dance. It's not just.
I agree, Marcel. I agree. His most of his Mateta goals is really team created and just like rebounds and stuff.
He's part of it.
And I'm not saying he's not a.
And his hold-up play is a lot better. His hold-up.
Marcel, I'm not saying what you're saying isn't true, but that's the point I'm making to you. That aspect of it, yes, but also it has to be that the team is helping him along that particular way. And I'm just simply saying that I don't think our supporting cast has been doing that. That's all I'm saying. They square the ball so much in the box for him because of his height and knowing that, look, let us get him on it because that's his strong point. He's going to score a header and stuff of that nature.
But there also hasn't been, I have to say, with times I've seen Rasmus this year, which we can't rid him of this responsibility, which is where I do see where Marcel's coming from. There has to be an expectation that the individual improves their game. And what I haven't seen from Rasmus at moments this season, obviously the confidence was so low, but what I haven't seen from Rasmus at certain points was that individual improvement in him. Like, so the team's bad, because even as a striker, the team's bad. So if the team's bad, even more so, when that ball comes to you, brother, got to look after. You've got to win as a foul. You've got to do it.
All right. Fair. I accept that. No. Remember,
that's not because Dallo didn't pass it to him the other day or whatever. That's when we can cuss Dallo and say, you see, that supports your point. But every time you say that point, which is true, there's an equal point on the other side where you go, there's been times where Rasmus needs to take the pressure off the team, take one touch, take no touches, take 2 touches. And that selection of what to do has left him. And that's where you go, that's on the individual. That's on you as a striker. You know
100%. 100% Flex. Remember at the start of it. Remember at the start of it. No, remember at the start of it, I said, one of his weakness in terms of how we were utilizing is his back to goal. And he needs to work on that aspect. So I completely agree. No disagreement from me. I'm agreeing with the panel on that. And again, guys, this is the point I want to leave it with. If we can get better than him, let us go for it. This is just me saying, as opposed
the problem is we may need the money. I think the problem is we may need the money for him, potentially.
Right.
To get another player. That's the issue.
Fine. If we can get better, I'm okay with that too. If say for example tomorrow, hypothetically speaking, we can get Isa to say a turn of $40 million because we'll only sell Rasmus for 20 and we have to pay a difference of that, right? To say it still end up being 60, but it works out to be 40. Of course I would, because we know what Isa can do for us, don't it?
Yeah.
So I'm not against going and saying, but I'm just simply saying, let us make sure that we're not going to put ourselves in this situation again. So that's all I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question, Tamo? When Cheeto came on the pitch, when he came off the bench, right, and he got those 3 chances, like sort of back to back. What's your response to that? Like, why do you feel that Cheeto in his short cameo was able to get? Do you feel like the team's lost trust in Rasmus? Do you feel like why was he able to get opportunities where it took the whole?
Easy answer for you guys. It's one game. I can tell you Januzaj, I can tell you Welbeck on their debut, I can tell you Macheda on his debut. I can go down the list of players that did well on their first day and still didn't work out at Manchester United.
No, that's fair. It's fair. And I want to see more of Cheeto, but for me,
I like Cheeto. I would like to see more of him.
I just felt like Cheeto was more integrated in the play. I felt like he was being able to control that ball, lay it off, but the things that we wanted Rasmus Hojlund to do. I don't know.
Cheeto plays like Mattel. Cheeto plays like Mattel.
Yeah.
He's dominant in between the centre backs. He's smelling it. He's always smelling it. He's putting himself.
So let me be a devil's advocate.
Let me tell you guys now. Yeah, let me tell you this now. Yeah, I know Marcel inside out. This guy, Marcel. Let's be honest. You want Mateta is your number 1 target. You want Mateta in it.
Nah.
This is your guy in it. This is your guy in it.
Do you know who
name drops here?
Who's your number 1 target?
Agent Bradley and Marcel.
From Porto, I think it is that KG you talking about Samu?
Yeah, he used to be called Omarodion, but he's
big bully striker, dominant in that centre area.
But you want that style of striker then? You want that like big,
Luca Tony, Luca Tony, Owen.
Yeah.
So if you're saying Cheeto's like him,
dominate the area, behave, deal with your centre back.
You need that in the Premier League.
Hold the ball.
Yeah. Physicality.
You've got 2 10s behind you that are going to do the jinky work for you. Hold it, keep it there. Give it to them. Let them do the quality bit of it. But you make sure that when we're crossing the ball, you make sure that you're ripping past the centre back to get that tap in. You make sure you're clinical and hungry enough when the chance operates. It's very simple.
Let me get 1 sec, Tom. Let me get these super chats in right here. Sale says, how many 21-year-olds playing in their first season in this country would score 16 goals playing in a malfunctioning attack? Not just the volume of goals, but the quality. Allow him to improve. And here we go. Angel says Ineos aren't spending 50 million plus on any player, that's what's interesting. Do we have money to go and get Osimhen and Benjamin Sesko and all these types of players? English Talent FC says guys talking about Premier League proven like Amorim and Bruno were Prem proven toxic positive. Will back a certain Robert if the coach is at least good with youth. There you go. He's having his say there. Jason says, I've seen enough good balls put into the box and Hojlund isn't because his movements aren't good enough. So he's just saying it doesn't matter. He just ain't good enough. English talent's always saying wild stuff. He's always on a madness. Always on a madness, this guy. David G says, so we're really having a big-ass discussion on Mateta. Really? He's not better than Demba Ba. Papi C said. and we see
That's-
and we see how they
I
ended
agree.
up. Not levels. I just
I'd have
we
Demba
didn't even
Ba
really.
have a Cisse in their prime at the moment at Man United.
Yeah.
You kidding me? They've scored goals in the Premier League.
They scored goals.
Yeah.
Rasmus has opened up on his relationship with Peter Schmeichel. Right, okay. Just as we talk about Rasmus, there's a bit there, but it's not really news. It's just what Peter Schmeichel said to him. Obviously, both Danish, gonna help his boy. Let's move on a little bit before the end of the show, because to be fair, I didn't think the Rasmus thing would be that long. But to be fair, big opinions. That's what it is. Big opinions. Bradley, this is Xavi Simons link as well. Attacking midfielder. There's been talks of Joby Bellingham as well. The midfield situation, if we're getting towards the summer, how would you look at the 10s? Because Mount's going to be back. Ahmad's going to be back. Actually, I don't know why I'm doing that. Ahmad's going to be back.
Cobby's going to be back.
Cobby's going to be back. And I saw a piece that was saying, it's a good selection headache for him. That's what Amorim needs. But what do we need to buy in that? And obviously, Garnacho's there as well.
We definitely need a number 10. I think we need 2 number 10s to come in to the club, because I prefer Ahmad at wing back. But I wouldn't go for Xavi Simons, if I'm being honest, because how much did RB Leipzig pay for him? Was it 70 plus million?
It's a really strange. It's really strange.
He went
when
there
they
on
bought
loan,
him permanently in January, but he signed like a 2-year contract, and even that contract might have like a release clause. It's a very odd one. Really,
because I'm just thinking, like, if he's going to cost us like 80 million, then is that realistic? And then also, I'd prefer to go and get Acuna if he's going to be of that price range, because at least Cunha's got he's Premier League proven. Like, for me, if we're going to go big, I'd rather go big in the Premier League right now, because obviously even the Hojlund thing, not trying to go back to that, but he's got a good goal scoring record in Europe, but his goal scoring record in the Premier League is not great. And we need to become a consistent team in the Premier League, I think, if we want to be able to get better. So I wouldn't go for Xavi Simons, but I would definitely need 2 number 10s. I'd rather go and get like a Tyler Diblin over a Xavi Simons at the minute.
Gibbs White?
Yeah. If it's that price, if it's that price range, yeah.
I think we struggle to get anyone off Forest this summer. I mean, the chances are they're going to qualify Champions League. They don't want to break up that group, But it's interesting going back to that. Actually, when you talk about systems, I was checking those stats about big chances. We've actually created more big chances in the Premier League than Nottingham Forest. But Forest have scored goals because you've got someone like maybe Marcel. This is maybe what you're saying, like a Chris Wood. I'm not saying should go sign Chris Wood, but they've got that big focal point up front, good in the air, hold the ball up. Is it really are we saying that then the old-fashioned target men strikers are coming back into fashion? Is that what's happening, Marcel, in the Prem, do you think?
Yeah, we've got to respect it right now, especially if we're playing this ultra-direct football. This is what you need. We've got 2 10s, 2 creative people. And by the way, these 2 10s have to go back and help the midfield. They're doing shuttle runs as well. So they're expected to work going backwards, not like an old school 10 that is just the sole creator. He's got 2 people, that box midfield. And then, just hold up the ball, give it, wait for the fullbacks to come into the play, please. It's all these little elements that he needs, the dirty side of the game. And he just doesn't have it. He's busy fighting with Gabriel. He's not on the half turn. It's just not right. It's just how he's playing right now. It's going to take him time to learn. So I would give him next season, really, because, there's a financial constraints and all these kind of things. But if we can have an affordable kind of striker, Danny Welbeck, Mateta, that's our level right now. We need to get into like what Bradley's saying. We need to get to like anywhere from 8th to 6th next season. We got to build there. We're very lucky if we get top 4. We've got to build 8th.
Would you spend a lot of the money then on the 10s then, like Bradley's saying, get 2 10s? Is that the bigger priority than a striker?
I agree with Bradley. I've been saying this for a long time. The best right wing back on the planet is Ahmad. He's and especially in Ruben's mind.
Wait, what? The best one
on
the planet?
I know Bradley didn't say that. He's the best on the planet, Fleck. There's no better person that can play right wing back on the planet than Ahmad.
I agree with that. I actually agree with that.
Oh, but then there you go. That makes 2 of us. So with that mindset,
and defend. You can attack and defend.
And retain the ball in all 3
Ahmad's wait, guys.
But if he's the best right wing back on the planet, then he might not play right wing back next season. So we would have the best right wing back in the planet, and we're not playing him.
That would be an issue, and that would be something that Ruben has to find out once he gets a Cunha. Once he gets once I know he's got an issue with Kobe, but once he kind of accepts Kobe maybe as the left 10, he's got other players there that he doesn't need to put Ahmad in the 10. Ahmad has so much space to express himself wide out on the pitch by himself and making them driving runs into the pitch and creating.
Marcel, for United, the best option at United or the best on the planet?
Well, we can win the Premier League with this with Ahmad there. We can win the Champions League, so then that will be on the world stage. So he's the best in the world on the planet. On the whole sphere of
I don't know.
You know, we don't play on Jupiter and Saturn. We play on Earth.
People saying Frimpong.
No, because we need inverted. We need inverted.
Yeah, so not him. So you're saying basically, listen, I'm not saying that's definitely not going to happen. Basically, I'm not going to sit here and say that Ahmad can't be in a title-winning team for Man United if the team is good. Like I get that, but it's a big statement to make when he's only just still adjusting to this system.
Did he?
Now.
Well,
that means Kienda must be it then.
Has he played more games as a 10 or as a right wing back this season?
That's a great question.
Probably more as a 10.
But Ahmad told us, look, wherever the manager wants to play me, I will play there humbly, and I'm ready to play football. And for me, he's played better games at right wing back than he has the 10.
Ahmad is better as a winger or wing back than he is as a 10 in this team. So that much we can agree on. I don't know about the best in the world. Maybe when I see him enough, I'll say that. But he definitely is better as a wing back or as a winger. He's not a 10. It doesn't get him to do what he wants to do. So I agree with Bradley and Marcel on that part. Just not the part about the best in the world yet. I'll hold that card. But if it happens, I'll say you guys said it first.
How about Reece James or Hakimi or those guys?
No, don't even mention Reece James. We don't need another patient at our club. We don't need another patient at our club. Please.
Yeah, and then Hakimi.
Carvajal.
And he's not.
We can't afford Hakimi. We can't. No. Hakimi.
No, but how good is he? No, but in terms of how good he is.
Ahmad's got that match winner ability that can just give you something. Oops, goals. Oops, assists. Hakimi, I don't know if he's got that.
He has got that.
No, Hakimi is a solid player, but let's not even discuss it. We can't afford him, man.
No. We can't get him in.
And it's a right back as well, not a wing back.
Yeah, he's not. That's the thing is that there's not like loads and loads of wing backs. Like the main thing is right backs in world football, isn't it?
But he has the profile to do the defensive and attacking work. Hakimi, I will say that, but he's not on our radar for just the sheer cost and salary that would come with him.
Lastly, before we finish, then I just want to sort of see an allocation. Owen touched on it there. It'd be interesting to get everyone's thoughts on this before we finish. Basically, the allocation of priority, right? Wow. So where is the priority? We've seen Onana go up that list to some people's list. He's creeping up. He was a bit of a low priority, then it's a bit higher. Centre backs, you're going to lose Lindelof. You're going to lose Evans. We've got Heaven in, which is good. You're keeping an eye on Martinez. You go, these injuries. Okay, all right, cool. We're probably going to keep Maguire, but there's a centre-back thing there. Wing backs. I think, obviously, we wanted Kienda, so we're not going to get him anymore, but we obviously still want one for the right because we were going to get Kienda. You've brought in Diego Leon. You've brought in, what's his face? Dorgu. So you've got two on that side, so you're probably going to want a wing back. The sixes, Ugarte, we want Casemiro to leave. Bruno's had to drop back, but then are we saying, actually, Bruno, this could be the new him? Who knows? Ugarte is obviously a runner, but you want someone else in there, so you want a six. Bradley's already spoke about a couple of tens, and we don't even need to go near the striker thing again. We know that. So let's start with Bradley and go around the room before we finish. Bradley, for you, what's the priorities in the summer?
How many players are we talking?
Did we sign 5 players last year? We did, didn't it?
I reckon 4 or 5. I reckon we can go. You could say 4 or 5.
Between 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Between 4 or 5.
Okay. Striker.
Yeah. Well, that's number 1 for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Striker.
Goalkeeper.
Okay, that's number 2. That's high. Okay.
2 number 10s.
Yeah, that's 4.
And midfielder to go next to Bruno.
Okay. What, to replace Ugarte? Not replace, but play there.
Yeah, I think I prefer Ugarte in the bigger games, but I think in the lesser games where you can be more dominant on the ball, I don't think he's good enough for that.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Marcel, what are you saying?
Striker, definitely
number
1. Yeah, it has to be. My 2 new 10s. Creativity. I need 2 new 10s.
You're all saying 2. You got Kobe, you got Bruno, you got Ahmad, you got Mount, I know Mount's that, but you got Garnacho. There's a lot of 10s.
I would like Nacho to be sold. Yeah, I would like Nacho to be sold for the system, unless you play him right wing back. I think Ahmad is a right wing back, best in the world. So then that's gone. King Kobe, I don't know if Ruben likes King Kobe. And King Kobe's a left 10 for me. So, 2 new 10s then in the vision of what Ruben wants.
So that's 3.
Yeah. Again, like what Bradley said, somebody to go next to the superstar Bruno that can complement his game properly and allow and cover his kind of crazy erratic self. Funny enough, someone like Roy Keane, even though he hates him, staple, strong, and he can kind of dictate the play. So then that would be, I think his name's Striller or something from Stuttgart. He's really good 6. I've butchered the name again, but the comment section will know. And then maybe backup wing back somewhere. I think we've got a young kid from Uruguay that's on the left side. That's backup for a thing. But somebody as a backup for Ahmad. I would like Delo to be sold. So, and by the way, what's more important than these 5 players is the outgoings, because then what holes you can need to fill and all this kind of thing. But that would be my 5.
All right, Tomo, for you, what's the 5 priorities?
I think we need a settled squad with the coach. I'd say if we can get a better goalkeeper than Onana. Yeah, it wouldn't be neither here nor there. I don't think we need a lot. I think we need a new midfielder. We definitely need a new midfielder, especially just to make sure that we have. So if we get a 10 and a midfielder, like honestly, guys, I don't see much more, because when we talk about all the players that we have already, right? I just don't see it. If we can get a better forward, yes, but I'll say definitely those are the 2, a 10 and a midfield. I don't even need, and if we can get a better goalkeeper, so that's 3. I don't even need the 5 to do that.
No striker? Or when you say 4,
no striker, no, because we do this every time where we just do these wholesale changes and then we do it the following year. No.
So you'd stick, so for now, if you had a chance to get another striker,
3.
now you'd say...
If we can get a better striker, yes, but I'm okay with them, actually.
All right.
I'm okay.
Firms, what are you saying?
Bro, keeper. Number 1. Yeah. Too much. We give away goals too easily, and a lot of those are mistakes from Onana. It's just too much work to do, especially when we're not creating.
Can't argue with that.
So keeper, and then I'll go with a striker, because we just need someone that knows how to find the net. If they can't get to the supply, they can just do it. Like, we need someone certified. So I'll go with a striker. I'll go with 2 number 10s. Like I said, I feel like we got Garnacho playing well on the right, but we need guys that know how to find the net and are also unselfish as well, that can find other players, know how to, decision making is always on point. And then a wing back. Like, I'm looking at the season and looking at Delo's causing me a lot of stress. Onana's causing me a lot of stress. They've got to be in it. I don't want to see Delo be on the left-hand side. He's got to remain on the right-hand side at the least. Do you know what I mean? And that requires us having another wing back. So if you think about what you're experiencing in a season, that's how I'm addressing it, man.
Yeah, okay, I hear that. And King HD says, just seen a stat that Man United have played the most matches, I saw this earlier, with less than 72 hours rest since the start of the 22-23 season. No wonder we have injuries. You're supposed to get that 72 hours, isn't it, to games and stuff, but clearly it doesn't always happen. So we're really having a big read that. Yeah, guys, big up, big show, big opinion. You know what I mean? That's what the full view is. We'll be back with another one next Wednesday, of course, same time, same place. Shout out Bradley, shout out to Marcel, shout out to Tomo, shout out to Firm, shout out to Owen, and shout out to each and every single one of you who have got involved in the chat as well. Remember it, you heard it here. Tomo, he thinks Rasmus Hojlund is doing absolutely fine. And says that
please, Rasmus, please, next season deliver and let Bradley and I'll be there next year, yeah? I'll be there next season and I'll watch it. Please, Rasmus, I've gone out on a limb for you.
You're riding out. You are riding out. Guys, take care. We'll see you again soon. Peace.
Peace.